We are live. We are live. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, yeah, we're official. We're live. We're live. And this up here. Okay. Yo. This is your boy Awesomeisjayell. And you are now tuning in to a new episode of Awesome Interviews. And today I am interviewing none other than the Wow Tangz. What's up, man? Introduce yourself, man. This is your first time coming here. I'm very excited.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I'm Thaddeus Diamond, the artist and developer behind Tangz.
Fire. That's very amazing, man. That's very amazing. Crazy, man. So the first question I want to ask you, man, I just want let's talk about the inception of the Wild Tangs. Let's talk about the beginning, where the idea initially came from. Like, what state of mind were you in when you decided to come up with this idea for the NFT project?
Yeah, great question. So it's a two-man team. So I'm the artist and developer, and then I have a partner who, Sonny. He's in the Discord, and he's been in since the beginning. You know, Sonny's a longtime Cardano holder. He is a Buds holder, and he's been minting since the beginning. And so he knew that I had a background in software development and that I sketched, as kind of an amateur. And
Mhm.
so we combined our two talents of knowing about Cardano and then having the art and coding side and made Wild Tangs. So Wild Tangs was really born to have a PFP series that would mint and support the open source code that I could then write. We'll talk all about, the utility and different things that the Wild Tangs get, but Wild Tanks holders get. But really where it came from was Sonny's love for this Cardano community and us hoping that we could contribute our skills back to it.
Oh, that is fire. That's definitely fire. That's a great idea, man. So where you got so basically when you came in it, you were really looking at it more so from an artist perspective. So you were looking at it from an artist perspective and thinking like, okay, where should we take our art?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we pretty quickly learned, like, because I've been sketching since I was a little kid. There are 102 traits or 101 traits in the Wild Tanks collection. And as
Mhm.
much fun as I had with that, we were seeing such good competition from the purely art perspective that we knew we wanted to layer some sort of utility on top of it to really make us stand out. And I think that's where the coding side came in.
Okay. That's cool. So you got okay. So you didn't initially come in it with being a coder initially then, huh? It was more about the
Yeah,
art first.
it was. Yeah, it's funny because
Oh,
way back when, you're one of the first to pick it up. We didn't even docs in the beginning, and we were just thinking like, hey, let's put out this art collection because you like to sketch, and let's maybe have. We had kind of this take on it that it was interesting because of how unique and rare it was, but pretty quickly we started seeing in the community people saying, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you, since you're a coder and you talk like a nerd basically, why couldn't you build us stuff that we can use if we have the tags? And so pretty quickly the community helped us get that idea.
oh, that is cool. That's
Yeah.
fire. I had no idea. That's
Yeah, it
that's
evolved.
cool,
Yeah.
man. That's cool. We were actually I think that was yesterday. We were in Spaces or
Hmm.
day before
Yeah.
yesterday. Man, I get my days mixed up, but everything goes so fast. But yeah, so that really sheds light on why I'm actually so passionate about you guys' project, especially from an artist perspective, man, and coming from an artist space. And I always talk about, especially yesterday, I was talking about giving the artist the tools, right? The tools and
Yep.
the resources to
That's
be
right.
successful. You know what I mean? And I definitely went on a rant yesterday and talked about that because I feel like that is the evolution of this space. And I feel like once the artist is getting compensated truly what they deserve, I feel like the narrative will change completely of NFTs in general. Um, and once the artists get those tools in their hands, I feel like um then the space can
Yeah.
evolve from a creative standpoint, meaning we can really push the envelope on what's being created. Because if an artist isn't getting paid what their, you know, their actual worth, then why would they push the envelope on creativity, you know?
That's totally right. And I know you talked about your music, which is awesome. Like, one of our initial use cases was, let's take a young up and coming artist. They may have 100 friends that want to listen to their album, that want to share, whatever, but they can't get a record label with 100 people. Maybe they could go viral. Maybe they could have an NFT that their friends and family pay for to keep them going for a few months. Like that kind of incorporation of artwork and music and other, media formats into NFTs, that's what we're here to support. So I couldn't agree more.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It definitely makes perfect sense, man. Um, so let's talk about your evolution within the space. Like, what is the, and I know this is kind of a hard question. I don't want to go too far in the future, but what do you kind of see as you guys in game? Like, I know we're talking about developers, we're talking about developing and getting the artists getting the tools to the artists and resources to artists and people that want to mint their own projects. Um, let's say you accomplish that, right? Let's say, okay, you've already accomplished that, getting your tools out there to the people. What's next? What would be next for you guys? Like once you accomplish what you set out to do in that vein.
Yeah, great question. And I think we're always thinking about what's the future, right?
Mhm.
Because there's really no end to what you can do. I mean, I think the wonderful thing about art is like it's always pushing the boundaries of what is possible. So we have, and if people want to join the Discord, even if you're not a holder, come in, come talk to us. We have a long roadmap of the different options for what we could build. And then we're going to put to the Tangz holders a vote. Should we build this? Should we build that? Right? We're going to let people pick and choose what we should build, and it's going to be kind of constrained based on what I can do at the moment and how much time I have. But our goal is really to build a community of builders, right? We want people to have a say in the tools that get developed, and then help that ecosystem grow and provide more stuff for Cardano creators.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. It definitely makes sense. So you really want to build a community of builders.
That's right. Yeah, and for me, builders is both coders, it's artists, it's even collectors help build, right? Collectors and degens are so important for the space. They're the money and the capital. Like if you kind of think back to Renaissance times, Renaissance patrons were the reason that we have the works of Michelangelo, Da Vinci, and others. They kept things going. So we're all about creating, all sides of the community, making sure that everyone's involved and really, helping push forward the space.
Yeah, that um I love that perspective. That's very interesting and that's very true. Um and now that I think about it, right? We're in this web 3.0 space, right? And what you just said would definitely just like triggered my thought process. And you're talking about building a community of builders, right? Excuse me. You're saying building a community of builders. Well, that's only right because I feel like just thinking about it, right? It's kind of like an epiphany. I feel like it's almost in a sense you're not going to be able to, in the web 2.0 days, right? We had consumers, right? Consumers, like general consumer, like people that literally just go into stores and just buy stuff and go home and enjoy it, right?
Hmm.
I feel like the way of the general consumer is actually dying. And nowadays you don't have it's not like that anymore. Like even people in NFT space, right? We buy NFTs, but we're also builders. Even if you're level 1 of building, right?
Yeah.
Level 1 of building, you're level 1 of building, right? You're
Yeah.
generally trying to build something. If you're in web 3.0 space, it's like everyone's end goal is to at least have a project. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, in the back in the days with web 2.0, it's like the general consumer didn't really have a target goal. It was just like, oh, we're just gonna buy these things as consumers and we're just gonna watch them pile up you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
oh, I love my shiny things, you know, and never want to let them go. So I can definitely see the evolution, not just in like just the evolution of mankind, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Just in that space. But what were you about to
Well,
say?
no, I think it's a great point. I was going to build on it. You know, I think some of it's generational. Like if you kind of think about us, you know, these millennials and the Gen Z, we
Mhm.
place a premium on relationships with each other. So I kind of almost like imagine like, what if you went into, you know, the store you're talking about, a Walmart or Target, and when you bought a Hanes T-shirt or when you bought like a graphic tee, all of a sudden you were linked up with anyone else who had ever bought that graphic tee. Like that's kind of why NFTs are so different, to exactly your point. Like there's this other layer to what you're buying and you can build on top of it. You can be a part of a community. I mean, it's an exciting paradigm to be a part of, and that's definitely, you know, important for us as we build our project.
Yeah, man. That's it's very important, man. It's very amazing. And yeah, man, I definitely see what you're saying. Like when you go to purchase an NFT, you're automatically like linked into this community of people um that are all trying to build.
Yeah.
And you know, everyone starts from somewhere. You know what I mean? You start out buying NFTs and you're a part of this community, and then you meet a developer or you meet an artist or you meet, you know, a mentor, a minting engineer or someone, and next thing you know, you guys linked up and you have your own project that kind of stem
Yeah.
from the NFT that you all own together.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I've been even just doing Wild Tangs. I've been involved with dozens of projects that have just said like, "Hey, we're doing this. How about a collab here? How about a collab here?" Like the creativity in the space is crazy. And you know, there are other great chains out there, but I do think Cardano, I feel, is very special in my interactions. I feel like the Cardano creators are especially open to that level of collaboration, which is great.
Yeah, it is. It is. I definitely noticed the difference too as well. Um yeah, in that vein, let's kind of maneuver to the next subject. And the next subject is why Cardano. I understand that you already kind of explained it a little bit, but hit on it a little bit more. Have you had any experience with minting a project on any other blockchain?
I've not done any other blockchain, and I
Mhm.
will say the way I look at the space is I think there will be tons of blockchains. Now
Mhm.
some will win, some will lose. I don't know what that steady state is, but just like, you know, there are Apple computers and Windows computers, there's going to
Mhm.
be lots of innovation in the space. I would say for me, what I really like about Cardano and what's the selling point, like above anything else, there's a lot of, you know, interesting things about the chain itself and what have you, but the ability to do lightweight transactions, given their chain model and the fact that the fees are so low, makes it really exciting for artists to be a part of. Like we still have very good volume, but we can mint an NFT for, you know, 10 cents rather than some other chains that have much larger fees. So I think what keeps me in Cardano is the lower you make the fees and the easier you make it for, you know, artists and creators to be a part of your ecosystem, you know, that reduced friction is going to encourage a lot of innovation over the long term, I believe.
Facts, facts. I totally agree as well. And me personally, I've never thought about doing a project on any other chain as well, because of the same reasons.
Yeah.
Um, is it just doesn't make sense when you got have something like Cardano around with these minimal fees. Um, yeah, man, that's totally interesting. The next thing I want to touch on, let's actually talk about the bear market and what's actually going on
Mm,
right now. I want to talk about the mentality of a builder in a bear market.
yeah.
And kind of speak to that from your perspective. Like, how do you look at the bear market and how do you look at it like from a building perspective?
Yeah, well, you know, we all want $3 ADA. We all remember those days,
Mm-hmm.
and that would have, you know, 6x our roadmap. And there's a reality to that because we do live in a lot of us live in the US where you have to convert to US dollars to live.
Yep.
I will say though, bear markets are build markets, and this isn't
Mhm.
just pie in the sky. There's research behind this. So if you look back through the history of innovation, right? You have Airbnb and Uber built right around '09 and 2010 when you
Mhm.
had a downturn in the major economies. You have, 2001, 2002, in the wake of that crash, you have the creation of Facebook and a lot of social media platforms. I do think there's this kind of creative destruction aspect where when you reduce the noise and you destroy all of the noisy fluff, you can get really amazing creativity. So for a builder like me, I
Mhm.
mean, I am enjoying the ability to be able to stand out and not have to compete as much because I think the tools will really be able to shine in that case. Whereas in a
Mhm.
noisy bull market, sometimes people focus on the wrong things. Now, like I said, I'm a big fan of ADA going back to $3. I'm not going to say I want ADA to be at 50 cents forever,
Mhm.
but I do think as a builder, it allows us a little bit of space to make sure we have what's important under our belts and then go and get after it.
Yeah, yeah, that makes complete sense, and I look at it the same way. But being an art, I feel, I feel like being an artist, man, you kind of get a little biased a little bit. From artist perspective, it's like, oh man, we could build, like we can
Yeah.
continue to work on whatever we were working on building, and while a lot of other people may have a different perspective and may look at it as doom and gloom, we kind of look to our hands and our skills, and we kind of put those to use,
Yeah.
during the bear market.
Well, you building this platform now during the bear market, I mean, it's the type of thing where, you know, you can say to the community, "Hey, here's what I have to offer," and you have this great platform and you're a great interviewer,
Mhm.
and then people get to see that rather than a million, other platforms that are just saying, "8 is $20, 8 is $30, 8 is 40," rather than all that noisy pump, you're getting real content on platforms like yours. So I can definitely see that.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely makes sense, man. That that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I definitely thought about that too. I thought about that too, as a builder, because sometimes it's like you'll look at it, you're like, well, it's the bear market, and I'm gonna continue to build. And then you kind of look
Yeah.
around you and you're like, well, what is everyone else doing? Like, like what is this over here? Like, and what is this over here? And it's like, should I be doing that? And it's like,
Right.
of course I shouldn't, but I'm not gonna do it. But okay, why aren't these people kind of lifting things up? But I get it though. I get it though. That's another reason why I'm kind of here too as well, because I use my skill as like a motivational figure too, if you will. Because I can amplify, I have the talent of amplifying my voice at a time like this where there is a bear market, so
Yeah.
that's one thing that I like to do as well, and uplift people so they can see the bright side of things or the upside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the way I see it is like, hey, if we got this low, like it's not gonna get any lower than this. You know what I mean? And like whatever you do from here is only gonna go up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and like you said, like when the bull market comes back around, you're gonna, the fact that we survived through it, or not even survived through it, thrived through it, is
Right.
gonna put us in a better overall position. Period. Like
Right.
when it comes, because people are not dumb. They know who was here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're
That's right.
like, oh, these guys stayed here. And so when the bull market comes, it's like, hey, I'm definitely watching this guy because this guy continued to build. And he's not going to run off on the supporters and people who care
Yeah.
about his project, you know?
Yeah. Reputations are definitely built in a bear market for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is, man. So let's talk about where you're from. Where in I heard you talking about Kansas.
Yeah. Yeah. Out here in
Okay.
Kansas, I was telling you, it's 102. I'm looking at my watch. It's hot, man. I'm not originally from the Midwest, but I live in the Midwest now. And my background really started in undergrad in computer science. I
Okay.
I was a big fan of databases, big fan of machine learning and data science, and I've done a lot of things throughout my career. But when I started as a software engineer, I was focusing on data, and the whole through line of my career has basically been how to use large data systems to power interesting use cases. So one of the
Mhm.
teams I worked with was I was on the Amazon Alexa founding team, and we
Mhm.
were using a set of voice data to make people's lives easier when they interacted with the device. So I hopefully can carry that through to Cardano. It's been interesting to deal with this system because it's not just about the data on the chain, it's also about the people on the chain and how the systems interact. But yeah, really my start is in computer science for sure.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Computer science in the building. Okay. Um, I was about to say, so what is your take? So, okay, well, let's switch topics. Let's talk about Cardano a little bit more. What
Sure.
is your take on the Vassal hard fork? And like, what are some of your predictions? What are some of the predictions that you have concerning the Vassal hard fork? Like what do you think is going to happen after it's implemented, like, and if it's successful, like what do you see, like from a visionary standpoint?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. I think there are a couple things. One is I should say, I've been building applications on testnet, and those all
Mhm.
use Vassal. And so we
Okay.
have a vending machine coming out on Vassal, and we're doing everything on the latest and greatest. So it's been exciting because you get to kind of understand the new paradigms.
Hmm.
What I'm hopeful for in some of the work coming out, I know there's Vassal, and then there's the proposals on Hydra and other
Hmm.
parts of the chain, is that you know, some of this is enabling us to build new use cases that essentially require what I might call less or even more minimal trust. So let me
Hmm.
explain that. What I mean by that is take the reference inputs part of Vassal Hardfork, right? So
Hmm.
you can now create a transaction where you reference something that is in your wallet and you
Hmm.
bring that to the transaction, but you don't actually send it to the transaction. And why
Hmm.
that's super important is a lot of people get rugged because they have to send over the asset to prove they own it and then they get it back, right? If you could live in a world where you could just reference other inputs in your wallet, then able to do you would be able to do a lot more with
Hmm.
much less of a risk of getting rugged. So that's one. I'm sorry, I'm just looking around as my dog comes into space. The
Okay.
other is with the other is with Hydra. I think what we're going to see as that standard progresses and gets implemented more is we're going to see things like almost zero fees, right? You could kind of
Hmm.
imagine a private Hydra head where you could do a whole set of transactions off this head and a bunch of complex logic and layered logic where
Hmm.
you really don't have to pay the kind of on-chain fees that you would have. And that's going to enable small independent artists and other creators to do things for really cheap. So my predictions in the space are just that if we do it well and the Cardano Foundation builds the right standards, we'll have a lot more innovative applications without increasing the risk of security issues or increasing the fees on chain.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, this goes back to the artist again. Like
That's right.
it really comes back to the artist all over again. Like
It does.
we're
Yeah, and artists too. I can include like collectors, right? Because collectors
Mhm.
maybe they'll hold private auctions off chain, and then if
Oh
you hold a
yeah.
private auction off chain, you can do multiple rounds of bidding without requiring. And by off chain, I mean on Hydra. So if you have like a Hydra head with an auction, you can do multiple rounds of auctioning with lower fees,
Hmm.
right? When I say artists, I guess I mean more like the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
But you're totally right. Let's start at the use case, which is the artist, and then work our way backwards.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially when you talk about auctions. Me personally, I never been a part of a lot of auctions. And I guess that's the reason why. I guess that's the reason why is
It
because it's more complicated. You know what I mean?
is.
It's more complicated. And like you said, like the confirmations, like it takes so many different confirmations for transactions that it's like no one wants to wait around for all of this to happen, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and a lot of that goes to, I mean, you're exactly right. Like a lot of that goes to the early days of the space and just seeing how early we are. But like I kind of think about it like, what if you had to pay a quarter and put in your credit card anytime you put in an eBay order or something? Or what if they,
mhm.
put a hold on your credit card every time you put in an eBay
Mm,
auction order, right? It would have added so
mm.
much friction to the system. Really, the amazing thing about eBay is that it's just instantaneous and you put in your order and then it all gets resolved later. And so that's the kind of thing I think as the chain evolves, we're going to see more of.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great, man. That
Yeah.
sounds amazing already. Just to push a button and then you just whatever transaction you want to happen just happens and it's in your wallet. You don't have to worry about anything. You go about your business. Yeah, man, it sounds like, hey, all of this stuff really sounds like time travel to me, man. Sounds like a lot of time travel, because we're going from point A to point B very fast, very fast. And once these upgrades take place, we're going to be able to see a major difference in the speed. I mean, we're already seeing differences. You know what I mean? I remember when I wasn't even here yet. I didn't get to Cardano until around November, but I remember seeing threads where people talking about, oh man, you remember the days where we only had escrow? Like we can only do escrow with NFTs and stuff like that. So just looking back on that, that was only in like April or May, you know, April and May, and now November, like marketplaces taking off, all this stuff taking off, and it's like, dang, I can't believe it was like that right before I came.
Every
So
week in Cardano and Web3 is like a year. It just you feel so, you know, that's why I can see my forehead pushing back. I can see the hairline receding already. I'm getting older by the week.
I know, right? I know. Let's talk about the trajectory, right? Let's talk about the trajectory. And I know we both probably got limited knowledge of the Ethereum blockchain, but in let's talk about the trajectory of Cardano compared to Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
From me watching Ethereum kind of did this thing where they were here, and then the next thing they just like went from 1 to 100 like really fast. And next thing you know, it was Bored Ape Yacht Club, and I forget the other one. It was a Gorilla Kong, Cyber Kongs or something like that. You know, one day we were asleep and then we woke up and they were like at 3,000, you know, $3,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's speak to the trajectory of Cardano. Now, I already know that the like the trifecta that they're trying to perfect. You know what I mean? We understand what they're trying to perfect, but how does that look trajectory wise to you? Like from your perspective, do you think it's gonna go from, because right now we're at like what, like 49 cents? We're at 49 cents. Once upon a time, we were at $3. You know what I mean? We're at $3, you know, and I guess everybody kind of sitting looking like, oh man, well, Vassal is coming up, and maybe that could be a catalyst. But you know, if you really look at the records, and if you look at history, usually when cryptocurrencies do hard forks, it usually has a negative connotation, because, you know, mainly because people are still trying to figure out all the new features and stuff on mainnet, you know, right after testnet launch, you know. So what is your perspective on the trajectory of Cardano opposed to Ethereum?
Yeah, and you know, I'm a little bit newer to Cardano, but I've been around cryptocurrency for a while.
Okay.
I read the Bitcoin paper in 2012 or so, and so have been following crypto since then and trading for about 6 years, 5 6 years. And none of this is financial advice. I'm not sure where we'll go from a price perspective, but I guess if I could make an analogy, right? If you think back to 99 and 2000, when .coms were booming, right? The easiest way to 10x your valuation was to add .com to your name. Pets.com, webvan.com, right? You know, toysrus.com. There were all these .coms, and I picked a couple in that I just listed that completely went to zero, right? I think that's the way these markets work in my understanding of them. There will be a lot of losers along the way. My hope is that that Cardano becomes like an Amazon or a Google, where after all the noise is gone, after all the crash is gone, you know, Cardano starts to prove out why it's going to keep climbing the ladder, why it's going to be the one that people want to build their applications on top of. Now, I can't say where that'll lead us in price, but I do believe that if we can, you know, take it slow and steady, really build useful applications and meaningful things for people, that over time, so long as Web3 and cryptocurrency sticks around, we're gonna see that come up in ecosystem value. But you know, it may be a long time. It took, you know, decades for Google to really become what it is today. It took decades for Amazon to do it. That kind of long-term patience, when every week feels like a year, we got to really remember that it needs some time to play out.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And it's so funny while you were talking, I really had a epiphany as well. Is that it's so funny. This whole thing is kind of funny when you look at it, right? Because it's like, okay, so the blockchains are built for the sole purpose for people to actually build on them, right?
Yep.
And certain things like, like Bitcoin, we know Bitcoin security is high and things like that, but you can't really build on Bitcoin the way you
Mm-hmm.
want to. It's not as versatile as a Ethereum or Cardano, right?
Yeah.
So now you have Cardano and you have Ethereum, right? When you say that the main purpose is really to build on them and to make sure that they're secure, and of course there's other features you're going to make sure they're stable as well. But when
Yeah.
you think about it from the builder perspective, the building is the value.
That's right.
The
100%.
it's not how much the coin is worth,
That's right.
because
100%.
because when you talk about how much a coin is actually worth, that is all speculation. It's all
Exactly.
speculation.
Exactly.
Everything's
And
100% speculation.
yeah, and a lot of this is dictated. Warren Buffett has a famous saying that it's like in the short run the stock market's a voting machine, and in the
Mm,
long run it's a weighing machine.
mm,
So in the short run, the value of Cardano may just be people voting and gambling and doing whatever they want to do. But in
mhm.
the long run, if there's value here, if there's real weight and meat on the bones for Cardano, and we can build some cool applications, then I think we'll prove out the value long term. I mean, I'm biased. Obviously, I built some off chain stuff.
Mhm.
We've talked about already for the Tangz holders. They get a lot of off chain tools. I'm starting to build some on chain stuff too. I love interacting with the ecosystem and I love building on it. It's a lot of fun to do that. But yeah, I truly believe that if we can prove out the value of our nano applications long term, that'll put us in the best position.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the development applications for Cardano. And I really don't know too much about them myself, but I know one thing that I'm hearing is that a lot of people have trouble developing with Haskell.
Mm.
Um, I hear that a lot. It kind of reminds me of back in the day when people were kind of having an argument with Linux, and it was Linux and
Yeah,
something else. I forgot what it
Linux
was.
and Windows. Yeah,
Yeah, Linux and Windows. It was kind of like
yeah,
that battle. It's like one's open sourced, one's not.
yep,
Like one's
yep,
gonna make money, the other's not. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So, like, speak to that. Like, speak to your experience with Haskell and some of the pros and cons to it as a developer.
Yeah. Well, I'm a visual person, so this is right. There's an iPhone in there,
Mm-hmm.
and for us, we feel like you don't have to build an iPhone to build a great app on top of it. So that's
Mm,
kind of the equivalent of what we think about Cardano, right? You shouldn't have to code in Haskell to build a great app on on Cardano. So I think the future of Cardano is to build these kind of like intermediary layers where you can start to build applications without needing to get down to the nitty gritty of Haskell. Haskell is a really, really tough application to learn.
mm-hmm.
Very, very tough. It's a new programming paradigm. It's really, so I guess what I would say is my hope for the future is that we build layers on top of Haskell that make it, much easier to interact with.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And what and I'm not sure. I know you're not the developer of Haskell, but I'm like, was it developed that way to keep certain people out, or was it developed as like, I don't know, was it a high barrier of entry on purpose, or I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't know. I mean, it's from the '80s, I believe.
Oh.
I actually studied in college with one of the designers of the language. She's no
Hmm.
longer with us.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I think there's kind of a different way of thinking that
Hmm.
Haskell requires, and so it's very obtuse. It's something called functional programming, and
Okay.
it's really hard. Like I took a class in college on Haskell with this guy, Paul Hudak,
Hmm.
and it's very hard to get your head around it if you're not used to it. That's kind of the way I would say it. Like if you're used to it and you feel like, hey, I know how to do functional programming, I'm pretty well versed in the subject, like you can kind of get the topics and go along with it. But if you're just, used to JavaScript or Python or other scripting languages, like it's a little trickier to really understand what's going on.
Oh, okay. That
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about the Wild Tangz project.
Sure.
Let's dive into the Wild Tangz project. For one, I was actually on the website, man. It's so funny. I sometimes, man, I just have weird luck with NFTs, man. NFTs is so weird. Like I feel like I just need to be zero emotion and just I don't but then sometimes I feel like that's not the answer either, man. It's so weird, man. NFTs are weird. But I seen Wild Tangz actually minting. Like I was literally watching it mint, like sitting there watching the numbers go up, and I was like, oh, these are 38. Okay, I'm gonna grab like 2 or 3 of these, right?
Yeah.
And I went to do something and I came back to buy them and they were sold out. And I was like,
Oh wow.
what is going on right now? You know what I mean? So that's my
Yeah.
story with Wild Tangz. So after I seen them sell out, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should do my research. So I did my research and find out what you guys were about. And I thought the initiative and everything was awesome. I thought it was amazing. But I did see, excuse me, but I did see on the website that it said you guys were sold out for series 1, and then it said something, I guess that was like implying that there'll be a season 2, but so what?
Potentially, yeah. We haven't
Potentially.
decided yet. Yeah, and this is all going to go through community votes. What we really need to
Okay.
figure out is a long-term development model, and I'm always really transparent with people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can do the math. How many we had? How much is the mint price? How much in U.S. dollars? It's a two-man team. We eat food. We live in the real world. So I've always been transparent that this is not going to. The first mint will not carry us forward infinitely.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but what I think we want to be careful of is kind of oversupplying the market with too many wild tanks. So I
yeah.
doubt you'll see us do anything in 2022 in regards to new series. That would
Mm-hmm.
be 2023. And we'll
Mm-hmm.
always consult the community and try to get votes on it before we make those kind of decisions. We've had a lot of talks about other ways to monetize the tools, and I think that's something we're going to have the community give input on as well. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a potential for us to monetize what we've built, and then that would afford us a little more leeway in terms of time before we need to put out a series 2.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's very smart. I think it's a great idea. Um, Especially by way of monetizing the tools that you guys have already put out there, or maybe make a premium. Make tiers of the tools. You know what I
Right.
mean? You know.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We kind of think of Tangz as like uh, an Uber key to Microsoft Office, right? And so what
Mhm.
we're discussing is, if you needed access to the vending machine, could we give you access to the vending machine for a cheaper amount? Or if you needed access to the mint machine, could we give you the access to the mint machine for a cheaper amount? Like, could we just, like, in the old days they used to sell Word separately from PowerPoint from whatever. Like, could we do a similar model where Tangz is the master key to all our tools, and then we sell the individual ones for little bits? I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out, to be honest. It's early days, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's definitely something we discuss.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. It's so basically you guys infrastructure, you're basically looking for a way to scale, but while you're scaling, you don't want to put your resources at risk. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Kind of like a
yeah,
risk management play on the
yeah,
infrastructure. That
yeah,
makes perfect sense because
yeah.
yeah.
We don't want to open it up too much right away because we want to make sure that we're rewarding those early tanks holders.
Okay. And are you guys interested in doing any kind of launch pads as well? Because I think I heard in a space or something like that about a project actually using your Menti service. I think
Hmm.
that's what it was. And that's kind of interesting to play it from that angle, because that actually brings more promotion to the actual tools themselves. But and it's kind of like a launch pad kind of ordeal. Explain that. Dive into that a little more.
Yeah. I think it's kind of lightweight launchpad. I don't want to say launchpad because I know there's a lot of
Okay.
people out there who do like a ton of promotion, they have art,
Mhm,
whatever.
mhm,
But essentially what we do is, if you're an artist in the audience and you're thinking about who to use for a mentor, you're thinking about what kind of service to use, come talk to us because we're kind of like that free tier, right? Like we're very affordable. Given our current floor price, I think if you bought one Tangs, you could probably do a 10K collection for like zero point 0.2 or zero point 0.3 ADA per NFT.
Mhm,
So we're very affordable. And then
mhm,
what we like to do is we like to work with projects who want to use our tools and then highlight them to the community. Hey, we had NFT Cobra, who's a good friend of ours and is the Wild Card Show, one of the leaders there. He put out some artwork using our tools. And so we
mhm.
showcased that to the community. And I think he already sold all of them. I know I bought one personally. So we're kind of like that free tier. I don't know if I'd call it a launch pad, but if you're interested and you're an independent artist or, you have a small collection, or even if you're thinking about a larger 10K mint, come talk to us and we'll see what we can do.
Okay. And how big was the artist that use your minting service that you just spoke of, the art collection?
Yeah, we've had a few. The art collection that we just minted with Cobra was like a 5 or 10 piece collection, very small, hand
Okay.
curated. They went for about 180 each.
Hmm.
And then we have another artist who's currently testing our vending machine, and he'll be putting out a 500 piece collection.
Okay. 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 So you guys are taking those baby steps, like
That's right.
kind
Yeah, trying to
of.
scale up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like it's kind of like it's not test net, but you want to make sure that everything's secure and
Yeah,
so okay. That's cool,
yeah.
man. That's cool. That's cool. So just a quick question. How long did it take you guys to create this project? How
Mm.
long was the process?
Yeah, I think I started drawing in early May. Um, so we probably I probably spent 2 3 weeks on the initial artwork, and then I refined the artwork for a couple weeks after that before our mint. Our mint was June 15th.
Mhm.
So definitely spent a lot of time refining traits, making the combinations look right, getting all the generative art code to work. And then, we've been building tools since the beginning. So a lot of these applications are just in their early days. So they only have been a few days of coding and really fine tuning. But our goal is to keep evolving them over time and to never be done. So one of the latest things we released is we have an iPhone, an iPhone application, and it actually puts your NFTs on your home screen. It's for iPhone, and the Android app should be coming as soon as Google Play Store releases it. So I have these widgets that show my wallet, and every 15 minutes, it just gives me a new NFT from my wallet. It's really cool. I get to see all these different types of things I own.
Mm,
So that's something that's kind of a prototype we built, and that took maybe two or so days, 2 or 3 days to
mhm.
build, and then we put it out there for all the Tangs holders. So if you have a Tangs in your wallet, you just type in your handle or type in your wallet address, and then right on your home screen you get mobile. You get kind of a mobile viewer. So that's the kind of approach we take. We've spent we spent several weeks on the artwork, and that's pretty much locked in and done. And then we've been building tools since the beginning, and then we're constantly releasing new stuff.
Okay. Okay, that's great. That's great. I want to take a second to just check out the chat real quick. Shout out to
Sure.
everyone in the chat. Shout out to all the viewers. You guys make sure you hit that like button so we can get more traction in the algorithm. Shout out to DA Sales. Shout out to J and Wise. He said J and Wise, he's from Awesome World Discord, my Discord, and he says Tangalicious. Shout out to DA Sales again. He says, yo. And shout out to Elton S. He's from Awesome World as well. He says, yo, yo, yo. Shout out to Bake from Dave. He just types the exclamations. Okay.
So Babe from Dave is your background, by the way. That's his one of one. Yeah,
Okay. That's interesting. That's so fire. Yo, shout
yeah,
out to Bake from Dave. Yeah,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
I got your NFT up here, man.
yeah. You got us up there. He had a few requests. Like we put together a custom. It's called Diamond Chrome Hearts, I think. But we put together a custom logo on the shirt, and the background is some artwork he's done that was kind of incorporated. So yeah, it's great. It's great to see Babe up there. He's been one of our longtime supporters.
That's so fire, man. Like I just chose that. That's so crazy. Shout out to Babe from Dave, man. That's so fire. Shout out to Sticky Nichols. He says, what's good, peeps? Those tangs are no joke. This guy is going places. Facts. I agree, man.
Thank you,
I
thank you, man.
agree. We got Paprika. He's also from Awesome World. He says, "What's up, Wild Tangz and Awesome World in the building? Let's go."
Let's go.
Then we got the moderator of Awesome World, to Illy. He says Tang vibes, and he says, "What's up, guys?" And
Hey.
and then we got Sticky Nickels back again. So I remember having to use escrow and people still trying to scam you by sending the wrong NFT. Man, it never fails, man. I just got scammed on something today, man. It was so
really
weird.
jeez.
It was so weird. It was so weird. And then finally we got Minding My Own Business. He says, "Yo, Awesome World. What's up? Minding My Own Business." Yeah, man. Back to my scam, man. Yeah, I got it was so funny. Some guy just reached out. He was like, "Hey, man, I'm having trouble accessing my funds for my wallet, my trust wallet. Here's my passcode. Log in it and see, can you get my USTD out?" But it was USTD. What is it called? USTD. It was TRC 20. Yeah. It was TRC 20 USTD though. So like they're running some kind of scam doing stuff like that. I was like, you are wasting your time. I just blocked them. So crazy, man. And people are so crazy with these scams, and they're using all this creativity for scams when they could just like mint a project out, man. Like,
yeah, they get so creative. You're like, could you make an NFT of your tools to scam and then make more money off that NFT? It's, some people, it's where they are in life, and I guess that's where they are. But hopefully the scams kind of die down.
yeah, hopefully they do, man. And I think it's so funny because I think we're actually having it way easier opposed to Ethereum, man.
You think so? Yeah, I don't know much about that.
Yeah. Ethereum are like the king of scams. Like they have so many rug pulls. Their rug pull rate is so high. Like it's ridiculous.
Jeez.
Like, but it's so weird because it's so many different NFT collections on Ethereum that it's like they don't even reach the charts. Like a lot of things that actually release, like here on Cardano, actually touch the charts. Like even if it does reach like top 100 or something, you know what I mean, or top 200, like it actually touched the charts. But they have so much stuff that like it will never touch the charts, man. It's so weird over there trying to filter out what you think is a scam and what you don't think is a scam. And and they all kind of beef up their social media, like, so you can't really tell. Everyone has 100,000 followers, and
jeez.
it's a lot, man. It's a lot. That's one of the reasons why I didn't even mint anything over there yet. Like every time I tried to, like I had one incident where I was trying to mint, I think it was Angel Baby Hit Squad. Shout out to Angel Baby Hit Squad, man. I really like that NFT.
Yeah, he does good stuff.
Yeah, Fettuccine. That's the homie. Shout out to him. Yeah, man, I was trying to mint it, and every time I went to mint, like I would have my Ethereum ready, right? And I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna mint, man. But every time I get ready to press the mint button, the gas fee would go up more and more every time I press the buy button. And I was like, man, like how much money do I have to put in here? Like, what is going on? Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't nothing dealing with him, but it was just Ethereum, like their gas just going up and down, and it was just going higher and higher. And I was like, every time I send money, the gas fee goes up higher. And I was like, you know what? Forget it, man. I'll catch it another time. But I know he actually in his Discord, he actually has a way where you can buy his NFTs with ADA. So that's actually pretty cool. I'm actually gonna do that. I'm gonna do that eventually. But excuse me. But yeah, man. So we're coming down to the end of the interview. Is there any shout outs, anybody you want to thank? Any last words before we get up out of here?
Yeah, well, I don't even know if I talked about it in the early part. There's a lot going on, but of course, the big thing for us is proving our technology, and so a big part of what got us over the edge or over the line with the sellout was we announced a partnership with Clumsy Ghosts. So Clumsy Ghosts has the Clumsy Valley, and we don't talk about it a ton because there's still so much to be designed and developed, but they're essentially going to have a nice play to mint experience that's going to be available on all these different platforms. I mean, that's where we want to see the ecosystem go. So we're going to be the minting partner for that. And we're really excited to start building tools to prove that we can scale, to really show that, like, hey, NFTs are more than just these collectibles that live in your wallet. They're these exciting interactive experiences. Gaming is one, art is one. I mean, there's just tons of applications. So shout out to, we have a huge Clumsy Ghost community. We actually have a custom role in our Discord called Clumsy Tangz, if you hold both. But it's really exciting to think about that, and then we're gonna get obviously building on it soon here. So that's an exciting one.
That is super exciting. I forgot all
Yeah.
about that. Yeah, man. Yeah, I think it sold out around that time. I had seen it
Yeah,
because
same
earlier,
day.
yeah, because that same day I was like, I'm gonna mint it, right? And then I went back and I see on Twitter, I seen the collaboration with Clumsy Ghost, and I was like, oh man, let me go mint now. It sold out. I was like, oh man, I should have minted it earlier, like I said I was gonna do. It was crazy. It was so crazy. But yeah, shout out to Clumsy Ghost. Yeah, man, I think that game looks pretty fire, man.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm really like kind of waiting on. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna get very wealthy from gaming on Cardano, man, because I'm a
Yeah.
super gamer. Like
Yeah.
it's no way, man.
What's your main game right now?
Right now, I'm actually playing Street Fighter 5. I actually went back to
Oh,
Street
nice.
Fighter. Yeah, I went back to Street Fighter 5, man. I've been playing that, man. I used to play that a lot back in the day. So I started
Yeah.
playing Street Fighter 5. I was actually playing Horizon Zero Dawn, the new one that's out. I was playing that. But yeah, I'm really heavy into like fighters and RPGs, and some of these new action RPGs are okay, but they're not RPGs.
Yeah.
One of the last RPGs I beat was Persona 5 Royal. So I'm into that. Do you game?
Not as much anymore.
Not as much. Yeah.
I wish I could as much. I I was thinking back to my old days. I was thinking about getting my I was thinking about trying to get my old PlayStation out because I've been thinking about the Play to Mint experience. And
Mhm.
did you ever play this game back in the day called Chrono Cross?
Yes, that
You did?
game is amazing.
I loved that game. So I was
Yeah.
trying to get it out because I wanted to play it the other night because it's a lot of like evolution of traits and like you combine potions and stuff like that as I remember
Mhm.
it. So yeah, I used to play games like that, Kingdom Hearts, Phantasy Star Online. I mean, I'm dating myself here, but not too much of a not too much of a gamer anymore. I want to get back into it though for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts is amazing. I like Kingdom Hearts as well.
Yeah, that
It's a
was a
great
fun
game.
game.
It's a great
Yeah.
game. It's so funny because when I first seen it, I was like, is this Disney? What is this? You know?
Right,
And
right.
it,
It's kind of hard to yeah, it's hard
it
to tell. Yeah.
yeah, and then I started playing the story. I'm like, oh, this is like an adult game with Disney
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. But yeah, man. Yeah, with that being said, you got any shout outs? Anybody you want to shout out?
Shout out to the Tangz Nation, man. It's been such a wild ride, and shout out to you, man, for having me on. I mean, this has been so much fun. You know, like I said, you're a great interviewer, and I love seeing what you're building here. So, no, I just really appreciate you having me on today.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Thank you for coming by. Major shout out to Tangz Nation, man. Shout out to Tangz Nation. Shout out to Awesome World. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Like I said, man, make sure you all hit that like button, man, and hit the
Mhm.
subscribe button too. And also turn on the notification bell so you're notified every time I go live. You know, yada yada yada, things that YouTubers say, you know. So make sure you do that, man. But with all of that being said, we are at the end of awesome interviews with Wild Tangz. So with that being said, this is your boy Awesomeisjayell, aka the biggest music artist in the metaverse. And don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And we are signing off.